Major funding for the Woodwright Shop is provided by
State Farm Insurance, keeping our promise of protection to generation after generation. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Hello again. Welcome back to the Woodwright Shop. I'm Roy Underhill. And when you hear the sound of a perfect plane being perfectly used on perfect wood, it can only be one person, Frank Klaus. Frank, so good to see you here.
Hello, Roy.
All right. Frank Klaus is one of the most respected woodworkers in America and one of the best teachers. He's got some of the basics of woodworking, working on a molding right now.
Yes, I'm planning it away. I have to keep going. I have to go till it stops. This is the bottom that it's where it's when it bottoms out, then it's done. So I have to keep going till I have shavings. Once the shaving stops, that means it's bottomed out and it's done.
You're working with a plane you made yourself.
Yes, I did. I made this with a New Jersey Craft.
That's an organization of old
tool collectors. They collect old tools, and they asked me to make this molding, so I made this plane for that purpose.
And that's about it.
Right there. It stopped.
All right.
And we're gonna use these shavings to burnish it.
To burnish it?
Yes, because we had the limited sandpaper, so...
I see. Now, you say way back when we had, you're talking about back in Hungary.
I was a when you were only about 35, 40 years ago.
I'll be darned. And that's all done.
This is it. It's ready to receive any stain or finish.
And it's got the beautiful look to it. It's got, of course, for crown molding or for...
a piece of furniture or around the room. It can be used.
That's beautiful. Just that
single bead in one.
That's beautiful. And this is the plane you use to do it.
Right.
Wonderful. All right, now you're going to show us some of the things I know that you have done in your extensive teaching career, one of which you're most famous for is, of course, your water pond, do you call it? A water pond?
Yes.
And it's for sharpening stones, this device right here. All right, now, first, let's see, how is this thing used? It's
a traditional... East European, I'm Hungarian, and we keep the sharpening stone in a water box, and we put the water on the stone, and that's how we use it. And it's as you see, it's sliding dovetail. They slide in and out.
The dovetail right there, that'll pop out.
Right.
And this is tapered too, so we'd have to, when we assemble this, we're going to drive that down so it tightens up to make that tight joint. But you've also got a wonderful trick that makes this bottom watertight using the swelling of the wood. This is a wonderful little trick because that's just nailed on, but yet it's completely watertight. There's no leakage.
Let me show you how we make this joint.
All right.
And then later on we'll put together this box.
Very good. All right, I'll move this out of the way. We're going to see how to do first the sliding dovetail.
We just have a piece of wood for demonstration purpose, of course, but it's done all four corners the same way.
All right.
With a pencil, we mark the thickness of the wood approximately 2 inches in from the end, square it up nice, and make 2 pencil lines.
I like when you say square it up, you eyeball it until it's square.
Approximately. All of these things are approximate. It's not very important.
All right.
You mark here 1/8 of an inch plus, and then in here a little less.
So a fat eighth on this and skinny eighth on this.
It is tapered.
All right.
You can see the lines. They are tapered. Mark it from both sides.
But just slightly. So that makes it, as you drive that joint, it just gets tighter and tighter.
It's easier to make it because you have a chance to try it.
I see. But if it was trying to be even all the way across, it's much harder.
With the chisel, we cut a little groove, and that will steer my saw. Start it twice and take out a little sleeve.
Yeah, the bevel towards the middle of the joint this time. Look at that curl right out there. Beautiful. All right. Flip the chisel over.
Sharp tools are important. This is nice and sharp chisel. It's easy to work with.
So again, that gives you that strike so that the saw... So that the saw will track perfectly, and you have a knife cut to start with.
Cut in 7 degree approximately, and half thickness of the wood. Just saw down.
And it looks like you're going to actually connect a point between plumb below that line and at the halfway mark.
Right.
All right.
And do this both sides.
And again, just your eye can tell you.
By eye, I mean approximately to the middle. And then we remove the waste with the chisel.
You just split in from one side. Well, you're cutting down and then splitting out just the bottom.
Right. And then turn it over and do the same.
You're very careful to preserve that edge, I see.
We have to be careful not to crush the fibers on that edge because it's the shoulder of the sliding dovetail.
And that's, again, part of the waterproofing. You don't want that to be damaged.
Yes.
A little bit more, again,
A
splitting.
little bit more, and then I even out the bottom with this router plane.
A router.
Router
Oh,
plane.
all right. Now, this is sometimes called,
It's called a grandma's tooth because it has one teeth like an East Europe grandmother's have. So
I say, well, grandmas are looking pretty good to me these days.
yes.
Not quite like the old one tooth from tradition there.
So this makes the bottom very even.
Yeah, okay. And again, that was set. I notice you have...
Yes, it's already set.
Okay, that's all set to the depth.
So now we make the other parts.
All right.
We have to use a block of wood so we don't break out the fibers.
Well, I see. All right, I see what's going to happen. That's going to keep the end from splintering off.
Right.
I see.
Without that, you would break out the ends.
All right.
And I use this dovetail plane, which is better than a router because it has a side cutter.
That's
This side cutter cuts the wood, so when I start on a backstroke, as you see right there, it strikes the wood. Therefore, when I push forward, it will not break out the fibers.
So that's very much like what that chisel did on that other cross cut we
Right.
just did a little earlier. But here
And I
it's...
just do a few strokes till I am even. And now I do more on this end because I want to taper this as much as that is tapered.
Okay. And you just go down so you still have a little bit of that edge.
Turn it over.
And remember which way the taper was on the previous side.
Right.
I guess so. Yeah. So you
And-
would have diagonal instead of tapering.
Do the same thing. Start on a backstroke.
So
And
the
then
little
just-
cutter
Just plane it down.
and giving it a few more strokes on this end.
Yes.
Let's see.
I want to taper it.
I saw you push those fibers down so they were cut by the little nicker there.
So let's try it.
All right, so you test it and you got to know which is your wide end first.
Right.
All right, let's say it.
And then-
Hold it right like that.
Put it in.
All right, and there's... All right.
And it's almost too loose. We went too far. We went too far with the,
I
with
see.
the plane.
I see. So
But
just too
that's
many
the-
strokes. But that's how it's going to work, and you have lots of edges there to hold the water.
It has 5 shoulders. You can count them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So therefore, it is a very strong joint.
All right. Well, we have something you adjust it in. Now, normally you would do this and work your way
Right.
into just the right
Right.
tightness.
Do it sometime 2, 3 times before you get it just right.
So try and sneak up on it and not have. All right.
So
Here's
this is
one.
This is all done,
Uh-huh.
and now we're gonna hammer home all these 4 pieces.
So that's ready to go now. This.
Yes.
And again, you have it standing proud about 3/4 half inch there.
Right. So slowly we drive them home.
And it's getting tighter.
Nice and tight.
It's getting
Nice and
very tight. And again, supporting it with that same
That's
old block of
beautiful.
wood. Yep.
Use a block of wood so you don't mar up the wood fibers below.
Really have to drive it in. Okay.
Yes.
So
Now
that's
it's
good and
very
tight. That's good and tight. You can see those
And,
joints all the way around. Now, this is going to seal the edges, but you have that trick that we're going to do for the bottom side, and I think you've done a little bit of preparation on it right here.
Yes.
haven't
What
you?
I did here
This is
is
great.
I crushed the wood fibers all the way around. There.
You can see it right here. There's a groove hammered into, well, you're going to show us how you do that, but this
me show
groove
you
goes
how we do
all
that.
the way around, and that's going to swell up and form a gasket after you plane this off. But
Right,
best to
right.
see this in a small
Yes,
section right
yes.
here.
We're gonna demonstrate how this is done.
Okay,
With this
you've
wire,
got just a little wire there in your
Yes,
hammer.
yes.
And that's all the tool you use, just that?
Crush the wood fibers in all the way in the middle of the board,
Okay.
full length. And then You have to plane this off. Once you plane this off, the nail on the bottom, you need a little water to see
Okay,
that.
well,
Bring the little,
I'll get the little
bring
mop.
the little- yes.
So you plane it down level to the crushed area here.
Now, if we nail on the bottom and if it's get wet, make it wet, you will see.
Now it's wet. So
We'll
we got
see.
nails holding it,
Right.
and I've got water on there now. Now, what's happening here?
See how nicely this swells up. See that?
Okay, the fibers that were crushed are hygroscopic, as wood is, and it's going to swell back up
You
to
can feel
absorb.
that. I hope you can see that. It's
Oh, I see it.
very
yeah.
nicely swelling up. So,
So-
that's what keeps that bottom sealed.
So as the water
Keeps the water in.
reconstitutes those crushed cells, they're going to come back as high as that was originally low. And you see it, and that forms the gasket so that the nails holding the bottom are pushing against just that little area.
Right.
But it's like we
Right.
put a rubber gasket in there, except it's the power of swelling wood, which is very powerful.
Let's do it on the real thing.
All right, very good.
We gotta
so that's
clamp
quite
this
a
box.
trick. All right,
To clamp this box in the vise here,
all right.
and then plane the bottom down,
Give you a little
Open
bit.
it a
Say
little
when.
more,
All
a little
right.
more.
Say when. Yeah.
and then clamp it in
All right.
nice and tight so we
Okay,
can plane
so
it.
now this has been grooved, hammer to groove all the way around, and
So I have to plane it down same as we plane down that other piece.
I see one little spot that doesn't go all the way through. Is that going to cause a problem right there?
No, because this is swelling up in that.
Okay,
So it's
okay. So now all the way around, you are going to plane down to the bottom of the groove.
yes.
Now, you told me that when you were in your village in your town in Hungary, you would watch for women who looked like they were about to have a baby and kind of get their name maybe. And
Yes, because we did the baby bathtubs this way, wash tubs done that way. So I was hoping for a little commission as apprentice to get that lady hiring me to have this baby tub made.
Ah, that's
It
great.
was done in the very same way, very
See,
same
look-
method.
Line up your customers
Right.
before they're born.
Obviously,
There.
they were a little bit tapered, but it's the same method.
Really, same,
make them.
same technique. All right, so you really have to level this all the way
So
down.
now this is nice
But-
and level.
What you can't see, though, is, again, that crushed line of wood fibers there that have been mechanically crushed, but as soon as the water hits them, they'll swell back up.
Yes. One more strike to do. And now we can nail on the bottom.
Okay. It's
We
going to
already
take...
prepared this bottom and already put the nails in.
Okay.
And,
Okay, where we are on the bench top?
Hold it exactly,
All right.
flush.
Is this end correct?
And even. Even both sides. Yes, and then we hammer it on. We have to drive all these nails in. Hopefully none of them come out and looking at us.
Yeah.
You're gonna create a pressure between this piece of wood and that piece of wood, and that's why we need all these nails.
But without that crushed wood gasket, wouldn't seal properly
Would not.
because it would try and push over the whole area and maybe leak. Look at that.
So what we do next is set these nails deeper. Make sure they really tight.
Oh, I can find it. I can find it. There we are.
Thank you.
We got a little, not a proper nail set, just a cut-off nail.
Yeah, we compromised. It works. It works.
We, well, what's wonderful about this, this is something that could only be done in wood. Only wood will respond by that
To expand, yes.
to expand like that. So understanding wood and water
So let's
is
see.
a great lesson, not only
Let's
a
see
wonderful
how
thing
well
to
we
make.
did. Let's put some water in it.
Okay, so you just set it right there. I've got some water
Yes.
here. And as soon as it might leak a little bit at the start or maybe not.
Just pour it in.
All right, here we go. And the water is going to hit that crushed area anywhere it tries to leak, and that will instantly expand. Good heavens, it's not leaking at all.
Very nice. Very nice.
And so the dovetails, all the way, the sliding dovetails with their angles, the wood will swell up here inside. Look at that. That's incredible. Frank, it's marvelous.
It is very nice.
That is a marvelous trick. So the wood is swelling in that little gasket area, and it's also, if it gets into the dovetail,
Well, as you
that
see-
wood will expand.
As you see, it is watertight.
That's great. I'm ready to take a bath. So again, this is used for water stove. Listen, let's take a look at your other one there now. Now I know you can make tubs this way, but again, this is the completed thing.
thing. The same
Holds the stone. Same thing,
Right.
but holds the stone so that your water stone can be constantly kept clean, and that's a
Right,
big part
right.
of it. And just swab it and then sharpen in this tub. It's
Yeah.
wonderful. All right. Now, sharp tools are not only for doing wonderful things like this, but for dovetailing of another kind. And Frank, even though you're from Eastern Europe, you have a reputation as being the fastest dovetailer in the West. So, you up for this?
Yes, yes.
All right, all right.
Yes,
We're going to
we
see how to
can-
do a through dovetail with Frank Klaus, and you can, I know how quick you can work. I'm not going to slow you down, and we'll just watch you go.
To make dovetails, we have to understand that this piece of wood goes into that, and this has to go into that. So the thickness of the wood has to be marked on the face of the wood, and we do that with a marking gauge. The marking gauge is set up to the thickness of the wood, exactly, and then we mark the face of the wood. And on here, we mark the face, and on the ends, because these ends will be cut off. First, I cut the pins.
All right. What are dovetails called in Hungarian?
They very similar name. They called dovetails. The name comes from shaped like the dove's tail.
As the dove flies off.
Right.
So here's your.
Cut the half pin.
All right.
Another half pin of whole tail. Divide it in half and cut 2 more pins. So I end up with
And
2
that's
half
it.
pins,
Uh-huh.
2 4 pins, and 3 tails.
Okay, so the pin, that's the wood that's going to go away. That's
Right.
the wood that's going to go away.
They will have to be chiseled out.
All right.
And we do that, clamp the wood down to the bench. Use a block of wood so we don't mar up the wood.
Now
It's very nice. I love your hold downs.
Well, I wish I had been the one who invented it.
I don't have one of these on my bench. I think
I'll give you
I
one
think-
to take back with
I
you.
think I'm gonna put one onto my bench. We chisel this out. We are cutting down front of the line and undercut a little bit.
I see. So you try, because you know the chisel, the bevel is towards the end of the wood.
Right. So
it's
when you hammer down,
Uh-huh.
it comes back towards you a little bit.
Rides to the line. But again, you're doing this by eye. I mean, you were working in a shop where it was not a big deal hand dovetailing. It's what you did to everything.
That's the tradition, and that's the way we learn that. When you work in a professional shop, speed is very important. You have to do things fast. We go halfway and then turn it over and do the same thing from the other side.
All right.
Just put the chisel front of the line
Uh-huh.
and hammer it out. And these are the pins.
You would dovetail even packing crates, I guess.
Yes, it was cheaper than buy nails.
All right, now
All
here's
times. Now what I do is I mark from the pins. I mark the tails. I put it on there nice and even,
the. All right.
and then with a pencil line,
You set it right on there.
I
All right.
mark the corners.
So the inside is lined up with your first scratched line.
Right. So now, what we cut here is not important because we made a template.
I see.
Right here is important what we're gonna do because we have to cut on the waist side. This is the waist. Therefore, we cut down here.
On that
Take
side
out
of the pencil line.
Take out these wood fibers.
Uh-huh.
If I leave these lines there, they will fit.
I see. Okay. So just make sure you know what the waist side is when you do
Then
this.
you cut, exactly.
And leave the pencil
It's
line.
perfectly all right to put excess on it. This is coming out, this is coming out. Therefore,
And
therefore you're gonna cut on the waist side. So
Okay.
I leave these pencil lines there.
All right. And again, back in the vise now. And I can see the pencil line on this side. And again, you're just cutting on it, but
Right,
you're squaring across by eye.
Yes, I can see cross by eye. It's not a problem. And then you stop. Then you're down at the marking gauge line.
Now, this is just
Stop.
You just say it's so simple, but I think the unsaid message is that practice and do this a lot if you want to work like a professional. That's what a
Right,
professional
right.
does.
Well, I did this
No-
once or twice before, so practice makes perfect.
I think so. You saw it off where
The
that little half
and then
pin is going to
the
go.
other half pin. What I do here, I leave the marking gauge line there. I
You're
cut
kidding.
on the waist side.
Well, you would tend
So
to track
right there,
in that
right
line.
there, right
so
there.
yeah. Oh, and so again on the back cut, you
Yes.
pull backwards just like with that first tool we were working with.
And then now we have to chisel out these two
Okay.
pins, and it's a very easy chiseling because it's straight up and down. On here, we had to chisel on an angle. Here, just
Straight down. So this will be faster. Oh, good.
Yes, yes.
No, you have plenty of time. You don't have to do it faster. That is remarkable. You, because you, of course, have some of the highest end customers in the world for your cabinetry, and yet you spend time teaching children, young people,
Yes.
novices,
Yes.
on these beginning understandings of woodworking. It's just remarkable. And now, up on the inside of the piece there. All right, that again, that just two
And that's
cuts on
it.
the sides, and those pieces are ready to pop out.
Yes.
You just pull them back and knock them out.
Push them down, and then you're ready to put it together.
All right, so there you are. These are the tails now that were cut to match the pins that you've done before, and try and leave some excess there. I can see the pencil lines there.
Right, right. They stay there. That's what
Alright,
makes
so
this. That's what makes this fit. So you put it on there and try it. And if it's too tight, don't force it. Just get a bigger hammer and hammer it
Look at
home.
that, perfect. Oh, Frank,
That's how I
wonderful.
make an open dovetail.
That is wonderful. Look at that. Those are the dovetails. It's spread out like a dove flying off when it fans out its
It's a
tail.
very strong joint. Without glue even does not come apart this way. Therefore, it's very practical for a toolbox, for a drawer. This would be the drawer front and the side. Therefore, when you pull on it, it will not come apart.
Oh my gosh, but done so quickly and so professionally. Now, I tell you what, Frank, when people see you work and just, admire your skills so much and they try and look for something to rationalize it, I'd like to look at the tools you've got here. Can we go through each of these real quickly?
Sure.
Let's see, I'm going to get over on this
Sure.
end because I wanted to see. Well, oh, here it is. This is your marking gauge, and this is one you made yourself?
Yes, yes, I made that for.
This is for an article. I know you do a lot of writing,
Yeah.
and I've changed the adjustment here. This has a little cam action. Is that correct?
Yes, it's a camshaft, so when you twist it, it locks. And the little ivory dots are there not only for decoration, but when you pick up the tools, you will see which side to face the wood.
All right. So that's what you made. Now, this is of course, one you've tuned up now. This is a pre-war metal, of course, plane, obviously.
It's a Stanley 4, and Stanley made a lot of planes, different numbers, but the most of them made by the thousands is the Stanley, the number 4. Number 4s, you still can find them on the flea market. You can find them on garage sales. Has a beautiful body to it. It's Brazilian rosewood handles and brass fittings.
And they were very cheap up until this very moment.
You still can buy them very reasonable, very
Very
reasonable.
reasonable, a fine tool, but you've got one in good shape and taken care of it as well.
The
You
reason I
polished it up.
switched from wooden planes to metal planes because it's much easier to teach people how to use that. The adjustment is very easy. You turn this screw, the blade goes in or out. So it depends which way you turn it. Clockwise pushes the blade out, counterclockwise pull the blade back.
And here's the
and this is a
side-to-side
side leveler adjuster, and it adjusts the blade from side to side. Therefore, it's very easy to make a very fine shaving with that. It's easy to set it up.
We contrast that with your grandmother's tooth down here. Now, this is one,
Well, this
not
is-
just grandmother's tooth, but your grandfather, is that correct?
Yes, he made that. Therefore, I wouldn't polish it or wouldn't do much with it because this is a heirloom for me and very traditional. And I treasure these tools because Grandpa made it. And it's just a block of wood, and with a wedge, you're holding in the knife, and it cuts a beautiful even bottom on the sliding dovetail.
You're from Yusuf. And now I want to say, know that, where's your, here it is. Oh, I'm knocking everything down here. You had, one of the reasons the sliding dovetail was quick for you was that these two are matched up.
Yes.
The depth of this,
The depth of this and that is very much the same. The depth set on this with this little brass fence, and on this it's set by the wedge up and down, and they have to match. They have to be the same depth, so you can make the sliding dovetail just even.
well, Frank, this is just wonderful. I know everybody looks for excuses in the tools and say, gosh, if I only had the tools, but it does. A lot of your skill is manifested in the way you keep your tools in such fine shape and quality. But Frank, thank you. The time goes so quick when we're with you.
It's
I
my
sure
pleasure.
appreciate it.
Good to be here.
Thanks for joining me, Roy Underhill. So long.
To order a video cassette of this episode of The Woodwright Shop, Frank Klaus, Master Cabinet Maker, or other episodes from the series, call PBS Home Video at 1-800-PLAY-PBS. Major funding for The Woodwright Shop is provided by
State Farm Insurance, keeping our promise of protection to generation after generation. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.